Hello, everybody. Hello, I hope you guys can hear me. I have my new mic with me, so I'm hoping that we are all set. Okay, so welcome. I am Tahiri Devine, also known as Diana, the Metaphysical Midwife. I am coming before you guys today to do a special presentation on what are Yoni eggs and why this should be implemented in your spiritual practice. Okay, guys, so let's just go ahead and get into my background. I have been using Yoni eggs for about 6 years now. Going into 6 years, it'll be spring 2020. It'll be 6 years. I started using Yoni eggs for myself. At the time, I was going through I guess you can call it a spiritual awakening. I was really focusing a lot more so on my health. And I started to see the similarities between health and spirituality. And at the time, I was in a new partnership relationship and I wanted to connect more in my relationship. I was having a difficult time in my relationship as far as intimacy was concerned. I didn't know how to allow myself to receive. I was very masculine in my approach to being intimate or sensual with my partner, so that I knew I needed to have something, different. I started listening to many different spiritual health, feminine gurus, or teachers and healers, I should say. And so when Yoni eggs and Yoni steamy came up, I decided to, give it a shot because I was on a more natural homeopathic path at that time. So I wanted to incorporate that into my body as well as inwardly, and I wanted to learn more about my sexual spirituality, how to really tie the two and make two, because we're taught that they're so separate, that sexuality and spirituality is not the same, mainly because I grew up in a very it was a Christian dogmatic religion. So y'all who understand those Abrahamic religions are very kind of anti-sex when it comes to women, and very just kind of doesn't take a lot of interest or focus on the feminine anatomy and how our bodies operate and how they work. And then that kind of tied into my educational background because I was a sexual health wellness. I was a health education with the focus on sexuality and human gender studies. So I really wanted to learn more about human sexuality and the feminine anatomy and how that. So it kind of worked together with my path at that time. So, without further ado, I want to thank Divinely Kissed Collection for allowing me to partner up with them and speak with you guys and share my path and my journey with Yoni eggs and why this is a great route to take with your spiritual practice. So let's just go ahead and get started. What is a Yoni egg, right? So they're becoming more popular, which is really great. So Yoni eggs, I have my notes here. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. Yoni eggs have been around or used for several thousands of years. I want to say it's over 7,000 years. It is believed that the ancient Chinese was the first to kind of traditionally start the practice. And what they were doing, it was used as a way to increase the vitality, which is your strength, also the sexual energy of women, particularly the hierarchy of women, the upper class women. It was more thing used, or the aristocrats, the wealthy, the in the know kind of people. It was a practice. These beautiful gemstones were carved into these beautiful eggs. They look like eggs, and they were used, and they're pretty much in three different sizes. You get them in a small, medium, or large size, and they were used to help not only just tighten the pelvic muscles, but it was also a way to help increase the sexual vitality of the women. For those who are not familiar with the importance of sexuality in these family lineages, particularly in the aristocrats, was a way to blend certain families together. Now, there's a spiritual component on there. There's a really great book called Wombs and Aliens. I think I'm saying the whole title wrong, but I'll put the link in the description. It talks about indefinitely how important the sexual nature of the woman was as far as attracting the mate. And it has a lot to do with bringing in certain spirits and when I mean that, certain souls, I should say, into the earth realm. So it was a very sacred practice that was taken very seriously. So that I'll talk more about that in another video, but we're going to go more into the Yoni egg practice. So not only do Yoni eggs stimulate and strengthen your pelvic muscle floors, which are very important, it is also a very great health beneficial as far as what we call our what is deemed by oh god, I'm calling it's the pelvic muscle flooring, but the Kegels, which is actually named by a man, but I want to be mindful of not using those terms because it is pretty much like men colonizing the woman's body. Like, but anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But the pelvic muscle floors was what it's used to help strengthen that area because a lot of women, particularly today, have weak or loose pelvic floor muscles. A lot of women are dealing with incontinence sometimes too because of that flooring. It happens when you have children, but it's also prevalent in women who do a lot of sitting because now today's society your job kind of requires you to sit in at a desk. So if you're sitting, your pelvic muscles are more likely to collapse because of that. So what are some other benefits of these crystals? Well, they come in many different types of crystals. The main one that was used traditionally in China was the jade, and I don't have any jade on me, but it's a very beautiful green type color crystal. It was able to connect women to their heart and their pelvis. It's actually a three-way connection of the mind, heart, and their sexual anatomy or sexual organ, the womb, the yoni. The word yoni is actually a Sanskrit word that means throne. So if you look at ancient studies between Kemet or Egypt, Sumeria, excuse me, even in China, the term or the word throne would be, or the word yoni or vagina or womb or cervix was actually would relate to the word throne. So a woman sits on her throne. Your yoni is the throne, it is the gateway. If we really look at what the role women play, or one of the roles, I should say, that women play when it comes to humanity as well, we are the gatekeepers between life and death. We are the portals between this life and the spiritual world. And even you think about a woman's role, women are there for the birthing process as midwives, and women are particularly there at the end of someone's life, also known as hospice kind of care, or helping ushering out souls. And so we're pretty much ushering souls in this realm, and we assist and help ushering souls out. So we are really the gatekeepers of this realm, if you want to say that, and the men being the protectors of it. So we're the portals, and the men being the protectors of the realm, per se, when we're walking in our true divine femininity and masculinity roles. So I want to talk about some other benefits before I go specifically into the crystals, because each crystal has a different resonance that it has, or a different frequency that it provides. The jade crystal that I mentioned, which was like more of this green color crystal, was a connection to the heart chakra and actually the alignment of the mind, heart, and the sensuality, sensuality, excuse me. So some other of the minimum benefits that comes from it, it helps create general awareness in your vaginal muscles. A lot of women don't even pay attention to their own body, or people in general don't pay attention to their body, because your body is always giving you symbols or signs that something's wrong or something needs to be, take a concern or look into something. Our body is always giving us natural cues. But with a yoni egg, it helps increase the general awareness of your vaginal muscles. It also allows us to coordinate those muscles as well. So you're being to know how to contract and release it. Okay. It also helps experiences, this is fun, ladies, more juicy orgasms. 1 out of 3 women are not having orgasms. And that's a lot, because it's a lot of women are not able to experience it. A lot of women are not even in touch or in tuned with their own sensual self, their own sexuality. There's another, it helps tone the vaginal canal. It increases your desire. It generates more vaginal lubrication. There's a lot of women who experience dryness down there as well. It helps you deepen your own body consciousness. Again, like I said, we're not paying attention to our own body cues. Using a yoni egg in your practice as your daily practice can really help you with that awareness and that consciousness of your body. Again, like I said, it prevents pelvic prolapse. Again, your pelvic muscles just collapsing in because they're not being strengthened, not being used. Think of it like a hernia, how somebody may have a hernia. It's like that muscle just gave in. So the same thing can happen with the pelvic walls. It can just completely fall into itself, or atrophy, what they call it. It helps embedding vaginal birthing awareness. So even when you're women who want to give birth, to help alleviate the point of going into a C-section, you can even help yourself increase your muscles, your pelvic muscles, or vaginal canal muscles, so that you can have a better birthing experience. It soothes the pelvic tension, and it also creates confidence in your own sexual expression. And that was one for me that was important for me in my journey when I was using Yoni eggs. So, as I mentioned before, the importance of it is connecting with your body, and and we have to realize our body is a vessel that is housing. It's the temple that is housing our soul. So everything that you experience on this physical realm is actually something you're experiencing on the spiritual realm, that they're one and the same. Think of it like this, because a lot of times we don't see the spiritual realm because our eyes are not tuned into that frequency, or that light, you should say, because we're looking at different light spectrums. So think of it as another light spectrum. Think of it like air. You naturally can't, you don't see air with your naked eye, but you know it's all around you. The same thing is with spirituality. You don't see it necessarily with the naked eye, but it's all around you, because you're actually experiencing, being in a physical body is a spiritual experience itself. But with that being said, women that are disconnected from their own sexual expression are actually being disconnected on another level from their own spiritual expression as well. We all know sex is a very spiritual thing. The intercourse, the engagement, the it's an act of worship, if you want to say that. It's an act of being receptive. It's an act of giving. It's an act of thankfulness, and we know a lot of the terms is like a moan, or all that comes with it. So if you really think about it, it's an expression of giving and taking and receiving, and giving, and allowing yourself to be more healthy, have a healthy expression of yourself on a physical level, allows you to be more healthy in expression on a spiritual level. So I really believe that when women build on their own ability to vaginally orgasm while using a yoni eggs, it helps you stimulate and create an awakening in yourself that you didn't necessarily knew that was there. It's an experience that every woman should experience, and it's completely normal to not, okay, when you first start your yoni experience using one, it's normal to not naturally feel it. And because we're not used to having something in there particularly. And then now it's teaching you to be conscious of yourself. And it's also teaching you to slow down. We live in a society that is so fast. Everything's now, everything's this. We even experience that with our sexual partnerships experiences. They're so fast. It's like hookups, whether it's somebody you met fast, or whether the guy that you're with maybe came too fast. And so you're just getting warmed up and he's already completed, right? So this really is going to be an experience of teaching you to slow down, and then also to allow your partner to slow down with you. So I think it's an important use for the yoni eggs, to incorporate that for your spiritual and physical consciousness. Okay, so I want to go into how yoni eggs are able to be used to heal, because a lot of people were like, well, I don't understand how this is healing. If you guys are familiar with crystals, you understand there's healing properties in just crystals. So think about the healing. It's the same thing, like rose quartz. You can have a rose quartz yoni egg. You can have an aventurine yoni egg, smoky quartz, black obsidian. These things can still be shaped into a yoni egg and still used to be inserted. And think about that. For those like me, I sleep with my selenite wand. I have two selenite wands, and I sleep with them around my bed and one underneath my pillow. and they help me to connect with myself in the dream world so I can not just retain my dreams, but also be more spiritually connected and lucid in my dreams as well. So think of that now aspect of using a crystal that type of way, but now you're connecting your spiritual nature and your physical awareness with your spiritual awareness and allowing that to be part of your practice. There's other things that or other experiences that you do with your yoni egg, such as the yoni breathing, and then the tightening and the contracting that you do with the breathing. We'll talk more about that. I want to talk about some of my favorite sexual health, physical body awareness healers and teachers. One being Dr. Christiane Northrup. She had wrote a book called Women Bodies and Women Wisdom, and she is a OBGYN, so she is definitely certified in the medical field, of course, but she's also she incorporated spirituality into that as well. Another one of my favorites is Dr. Akila. You can find her on YouTube as what is her name on her channel name? I think it's called Beyond Health. I'll leave their links in the description. She focuses on the diet of the body and actually helping women heal themselves from their fibroids, endometriosis. I think I just completely annihilated that word. Excuse me. So she uses the foods we eat, and then also the foods, your mental, and the way you interact with your own life, and how all that ties into our physical bodies and our awareness. And Dr. Christiane Northrup using it on the OBGYN or the Western medical side and tying it all together. And I like her approach to things. So if you guys have not checked out their work, please do. So all this has been tied into my practice. One thing that I want to say is that was difficult for me was the fear. I had a lot of fear of me being receptive. And I was so connected. I was more connected to my masculine energy than I was to my feminine energy. So when it came to my partnering, I knew how to be feminine looking. I necessarily wasn't keen on how to be in my feminine, to rest in my femininity. And so that was a journey for myself. Queen Afua is another great teacher and healer that talks about the similar things that all these other two women I mentioned, aforementioned. And so when I was going through my path of taking in their wisdom and their knowledge and their understanding and learning to tap into my femininity, it allowed me to now start the foundation of my egg journey. And that was coming from me saying, wow, I really am disconnected to the goddess energy or the divine feminine energy, right? I grew up as a Christian, so very Father God, everything was the Father, nothing about the mother. And so when I was ready to now step in and heighten my spiritual experience, I learned that there's a gift to femininity. So I'm going to go into several eggs that I have with me and just share a little bit about their properties. Can you go and close my door, please? Thank you. So let's go, because I have some eggs here. So we're going to go. One of my very first eggs that I ever used was my rose quartz egg. Now we understand rose quartz being the crystal that promotes femininity, receptivity, love. It's definitely connected to the heart chakra. If I can get my little baggies tied here, you know. And this one here is a medium-sized rose quartz. As you guys can see, it's on Divinely Kiss Collection's website as well. One of my hangups when I first started using Yoni eggs was I was afraid it was going to get stuck. But I want you guys to tell you our bodies are very wonderful. It will not get stuck. It actually the fear of it getting stuck, it comes from, again, not trusting ourselves and not trusting our bodies. A lot of times that's the fear. It's a lack of trust in an area, right? So we kind of develop a natural state of fear. And that's so funny, because when I talk to other women, that's one of the many questions I get. Well, will it get stuck? And I'm like, nah, sis, it won't. It'll come out. It will definitely come out. But this is helping you to really use your own body. Your, like I said, your muscles are going to contract around it to tighten and release. So it's naturally either going to fall out because your muscles are probably too loose, so the egg might just straight slip out, or it may take more of you doing some contracting work and some breathing work and relaxation. That's a number one problem with a lot of women. We don't know how to relax. And I think it's a myriad of things. It's not just one set of things, but I'll just use one example, saying that since we're now in the workforce, and it's the workforce is really built as a masculine. It's built for masculine energy. It's that grind, work hard, push, push, push. Right. That's more of a masculine trait, more of a masculine energy. So when we tap into our masculine side and neglect that feminine side, we overwork ourselves and stress and tension. And a lot of these major corporations won't share this, which I'll share because I have a healthcare background. I worked in the healthcare field. I worked a lot of research studies for major hospitals and major corporations, or organizations, I should say. I work with major organizations that are supposed, the what they say, the authoritative voice of health, right? And all of them were all saying that stress is a factor for a lot of problems, but they wouldn't come out and say that because you lose a lot of money. So stress is a big portion of what causes us to tense our bodies. And even it don't have to be from work. It could be from family. It could be from our lifestyles, right? That builds up stress in the body, and therefore we're storing that information in our body because the body is made as a bye baby. Thank you. It's made to store information. The DNA stores information. A lot of us don't realize, particularly women, that whatever your mother experienced when she was pregnant with you experienced it. And then even before she was pregnant with you, whatever experience that she had, her eggs experienced it. So it's a cycle of experiences that we're carrying with us in the DNA and our genome and our genetics that came from our mother's mother, her mother, and so on, so on, so on. Because women, what we do, your eggs are exact duplicate of your mother's eggs, which is exact duplicate of her mother's eggs, exact duplicate of her mother's eggs, and so on and so forth till it gets to the very first woman, right? So we are all duplicates of our own mothers and their experiences. And then we have our father's consciousness because our father, we understand masculine energy is electric, feminine energy is magnetic. So I see this as the women, the bodies is the feminine factor, and the spirit, which is the electricity, is the masculine factor. So we are carrying the memories in our DNA, in our bodies of our mothers, but then we also carry traits of the consciousness of our fathers. And I really think we're in a very opportune time right now where women are becoming awakened to their femininity, are becoming awakened to their divineness. And also on the other side, men are becoming awakened to what true masculinity is. We are seeing a lot more videos and talks on no fap, on semen retention. And as these men are talking about these things and how to build their masculinity, women are still we're talking to each other on how to build our femininity back. It's about the balancing of both our energies for ourselves. And so when we do decide to partner with someone, we're both in our highest form. So I went around the way about, well, what's the guy do with my Yoni eggs getting stuck? Everything. Because I told you, when you're stressed, you're tensed. So we're talking about body awareness right now. We're talking about vaginal elasticity and vaginal strength. And more importantly, we're talking about inner trust, trusting yourself, right? That has been, for me and my own journey, a big part of the experiences that I had that weren't at the best because I lacked trust in myself, in my body, in my spiritual walk. I lacked it, and that came from a lot of other problems as well. But this is just something that we neglect because we're in such a fast-paced environment. We neglect the importance of slowing down. And that is what my rose quartz egg taught me, that was my very first egg, was my rose quartz egg, and it taught me to slow down and to pay attention to myself and to um, get get with the program. And actually, what really set my journey off was I got sick. I was getting sick a lot between the years of 2012 to 2013. I was getting sick a lot, and I was hospitalized a lot. And I've never been growing up. I never been like, I mean, of course, you get regular sicknesses like colds, and I think I got the chicken pox before too. But as far as being hospitalized sick, that didn't start happening to me majorly until 2013, 2014, when I was, sorry, 2012, 2013. Because 2014 is when I changed my life, because 2013 was the last time. It was the fall of 2013, or whatever they call it, the yeah, fall, autumn, winter 2013. I was hospitalized, and I had a stress induced high blood pressure. No, not high blood pressure. A stress induced blood sugar. My blood sugar was so high that I was induced, and they were saying I was literally close to having a diabetic shock, and I never had diabetes before. And it was so much stress I was putting on my body. And that right there, when 2013 came, I started taking that time to really learn about other practices. And then I was learning about, I got this fungus infection, a sinus. It was like a sinus infection, but it was a fungus infection in my sinuses. And so I went through this whole process of changing my life. And at the same time, I had started doing some health changes. Like I decided to cut out dairy. What was it? Dairy. I cut out pork in 2012. Then 2013, I cut back on drinking milk. I cut out milk and started doing like almond milk and soy. Well, I did soy, and then I went to almond, and then I do cashew milk now. And then so I was already kind of going through my own journey of being more physically health conscious. And I went completely organic in 2015. And then also that year, because we also had a baby that year. Well, we conceived that year. I also started to go, I went full vegan throughout my whole pregnancy and post pregnancy. And it wasn't about, maybe last year I started adding meat back into my diet. And so I still have meat in my diet, but very seldomly, because I believe there's a balance in everything. But I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I'm going into what led me to my Yoni egg journey, and what led me to trust myself and to get into this place of conserving my energy. Let me tell you, your sexual energy is your life force energy. And I know, for as we hear a lot, I think it's November right now. It's November right now. So we're on this no, not November for the guys. And I think some women are participating in it as well. But I want to say this. It is really important for the masculine energy to refrain from spilling his semen, as far as climaxing. Not saying that he should never do it, but he shouldn't do it as much, like every day, all day. That shouldn't be a thing like that. For women, however, we're more inclined to really climax. When men retain climaxing or retain their semen, it helps them regenerate and sexually transmute that energy into their bodies, right? And to develop their masculinity, right? For women, when we express orgasm, that gives us life to move forward. That's when we start to glow. So men glow when they retain, women glow when they release. Because men, it's about us being receptive, and it's about the masculine energy. So feminine energy is receiving, masculine energy is the giving. And you see, and then in that giving and receiving, the men take pleasure in, or masculine energy takes pleasure, and it actually re-energizes him to give, to realize what I was able to create this experience for this person, right? So it's a constant give and take, and it's not going to be the same for us. It's completely different for us, okay? But I want to go into talking about our life force energy and what happens when we drain ourselves out on our feminine bodies. When we drain that, it starts to drain on our physicality. So like I said, our pelvic floor starts to have fatigue. It falls. We start to have problems with not holding our or incontinence, right? So you might laugh or you might sneeze and you might slip a little bit of well, you guys know what incontinence means. We're grown. So it's about finding that motion of connecting and centering your awareness, not just throughout your body, but throughout your day. I recommend for women wearing a few hours of the day, maybe like 2 hours of the day, wearing your Yoni egg inside you to be aware of it. How does it feel when you move this way? How does it feel? Like just to be conscious and aware. Do you feel it sliding out? Do you know how to use your muscles to contract it back in? Are you now working on this toning and this developmenting so that your regimen can help you build your intuitiveness and also strengthen on yourself on a physical level, right? So let's go into some other eggs. I can go deeper into practices, but I will talk about that in another video because I just really wanted to share more about these eggs and how they can help you. So let's just recap. Let's talk about, I'm looking at my notes here. Well, yeah, we talked about the Yoni power. So the power of your Yoni. Oh, excuse me, guys. That's my little one calling me. Let me just put you guys on a brief hold. All right, guys. Thank you for waiting. So I'm back. Hold on, real quick, guys. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for your patience. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up. Let's see. I was talking about the powers of our Yoni power when we do start incorporating this practice. We talked about the vaginal awareness. We talked about um, the perceptibility in your muscles, and then the actually flexibility and the movement of these muscles are so important because again, it's bringing all this awareness to this part of your body. So I'm going to go and to show you. I showed you guys my um, let's see, I already showed you guys one of my eggs. Let's talk about this one's my aventurine egg, right? So this one is an aventurine that I have. No, no, not sit down, please. If you're gonna stay in here with me, you gotta sit down. My little one, she didn't want to finish watching her movie, so she's gonna come in here with me.
I want to see.
Yeah, you can see right here. One of my other favorite eggs that I use that I have is my amethyst. This is a favorite egg of mine. You guys know amethyst heightens your spiritual awakening. It looks kind of black, but it's actually a really deep purple kind of color here. So each of these have different properties on what is that you're trying to experience. I have a black obsidian, I have a carnelian. So I just have a few. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about these eggs briefly about the benefits of it. And we can go into other things about more so the connection to your spirituality and your physicality, right? So that is all I have for this presentation today. I hope you guys were able to little grasp a little bit more on why you should incorporate Yoni eggs into your life. I talked briefly, I didn't really go into it, but I can go into another video about what exactly Yoni breathing and then how I use Yoni eggs in my day to day life. We'll do that in another video. We'll talk again, guys. Thank you
How
so
to
much
fit?
for your time and coming and sharing, allow me to share my journey with you guys on how I started using Yoni eggs, the benefits that I've